Hi guys, and welcome to this video on the new moon in Aquarius that happens on the 1st of February 2022. Thanks for joining me. The chart you see next to me here, that's a snapshot of the sky at the moment this new moon happens. It occurs at 6:45 in the morning, and that's based on Europe time. If you're west of Europe, this is likely to happen, well, not likely, it is going to happen late in the evening on the 31st of January. If you're east of Europe, it'll be later on the 1st. So I like this timing wise because the first day of a new month, we all feel like, okay, what are we doing next? How are we going to get going again? One in numerology is the vibration of the boss, the pioneer. And a new moon in astrology is very similar. The moon goes pitch black, the sun and the moon conjunct. The moon kind of goes inward. It's not putting on a big show like it does during a full moon period. It's kind of saying, okay, I need a break. I need some privacy, please, no photos. And it says, I'm going within and I'm going to recharge my batteries. I'm going to question what I'm going to do in this next 28-day period. What's important to me? How can I use my energy appropriately? What's effective? What's good? And what interests me? Like, what's important to me? So it's at 12 degrees. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 in numerology is communication and new beginnings. So you're very focused on info, learning, teaching. And it's interesting because I mentioned this in the weekly horoscope. We have Mercury, the communication planet, in retrograde. So when that appears to be going backwards, communication becomes more challenging. You mishear things, letters get lost, etc., etc. And what I feel is because we have this powerful new moon in Aquarius energy, Aquarius being an air sign, the teacher, the humanitarian, it mitigates the influence of Mercury that is creating these communication issues. And what I said in the weekly horoscope is that it's almost like an early holiday from Mercury retrograde. A new moon is a powerful kind of event, and because it lasts a few days, I think what it highlights here, I would say the 31st definitely of January, the 1st of February and the 2nd, that you see things very, very clearly. You're able to assess information amazingly well. Analysis, detail, you're not likely to skim over important bits and make mistakes. You also have a huge talent here to get your point across, to articulate things that are super complicated in an easy way that people understand it, that you can teach, and that you can also get people together and share a belief, or to share a common goal or values, and to build like a sense of community around that. I mean, that sounds very grand, but if like it can be as simple as starting a meditation group at your house once a week where 7 people come along, this would be a great day to start that. Plus, we've got Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and creativity. That's no longer in retrograde. It was in retrograde for the majority of January. That's direct here. So starting new groups, businesses, getting creative, all of that is supported again here. And so it could be something small like that, or it could be like, you know, I'm going to start a foundation or a charity. So all of that focus is very much about learning and assessing the situation and then inserting yourself in it to say, how can I make this better? Aquarius in itself is a sign that's very much about ideas and looking at the bigger picture and saying actions have consequences. Aquarius is the water bearer. Often people confuse it for water sign, but it is an air sign. It's about clearing things out. I often associate it with the Temperance card in the tarot. It's really realizing that you are part of the human family. You're not this isolated thing. We're all connected. And then how can I learn and develop so that I can connect with people at the same level, and that we can all skip down the road together happily and learn as we go and live in harmony and peace and help each other out along the way. In a more practical sense, it's, okay, I've got, $1 billion. There was a hurricane somewhere. No one's doing relief work, so I'm going to pay a chunk and go help those people by myself because I can do it. So it takes the initiative, it's pioneering, and it thinks about the self as a tool for the betterment of humanity. Not, where's my ice cream cone? It's like, does everyone have one? So that's really what you're focused on. I love it. So if there's some sort of social issue that's been pestering you, you'll understand what you can do about it. If you wanted to invent something, the light bulb goes off and the idea for your new invention is likely to come through. I mean, they have to come through sometime, and during a new moon in Aquarius is the most likely time that can happen. So please do think outside of the box. That's important because we've got Saturn sitting on top of this new moon. Saturn is an outer planet that's responsible for the rules and structure. Saturn rules Capricorn, so it says work. You're here to work, okay? Life isn't fun and games, you're here to work. It's really, it's so black and white. Like Saturn in Capricorn is like, the party's over. We're now going to look at your time card. And if you did 9 hours or more, then you'll be deemed fit to be spoken to. If not, then we're just going to dismiss you. It's relentless. It's way too demanding. It's really like, oh, can I get a break here? So Saturn in Aquarius applies that severity to the Aquarian realms, to the things that are governed by Aquarius, so ideas and science and structure, which actually helps you, because if you are inventing something, you'll do it in a way that follows protocol, and you'll do it in a way that is above board and that you can then prove and put in the academic journal or whatever it may be, and everyone's going to be, well done, you followed all the rules. It can also be making the most of the system, like if the foundation, the relief work kind of thing, or charity. Okay, I know I have to fill out these forms. I want to do it, so I'm going to follow the step-by-step process. I'm part of society. I'm not on the outside looking in. I have a right to do this as much as anybody else. I belong to the human family. Do you see what I mean with this energy? It's very much as I am everyone's equal. We're all on the same playing field here, and I've decided to do something good. Not for aggrandizement or whatever. It just, that's what I'm good at right now. So the Saturn thing means that there's certain parameters in place which you can exploit. Usually Saturn, when it comes along, makes you a little bit blinkered. And it could do that to a tiny extent. That's why I'm saying please do deliberately think outside of the box. Make sure you're thinking about what interests you. But I think it's much more a positive influence in this new moon, because it means that you can play the system, or you can at least engage with the system and work it to your advantage. I remember like my grandmother, she was a pensioner, and she had a bus pass, right? And it was like in 2000 and early 2000s, like 20 years ago, yikes. And for these pensioners, if they wanted their bus passes, they had to go on the internet and get it. Now, in 2000, the internet wasn't as prolific as it is now, or as normal as it is now, especially for a 70-someone-year-old who'd never used a computer, and the internet had only been around for 5 years. So it was the system trying to discourage people from getting their bus passes by only making it available online. So, people in the know had to come in and help. Does that example work? It just like, in that case, my grandmother wasn't able to access the system, whether she was deliberately iced out of it or because she didn't have the knowledge or whatever. The fact was it wasn't working for her. This new moon is the opposite. You're in the system. You know how it works. You can use it to your advantage. And actually, I'm sorry to say this, trying to be a spiritual person and all, but if you have a resentment about some system that you feel has been unjust to you, look at that again today and see what you could get out of that situation to maybe balance the scales. I'm saying this somewhat facetiously, but that kind of is murky territory, because you're getting into resentment and settling scores, and that doesn't usually work out in anyone's favor. But, if you're owed some money and you can now send off the right form, and you understand which form to pick because you just have a talent for it during this new moon, then that would benefit you. Okay. Saturn is at 15 degrees, so it's a temporary opportunity. 1 in 5 is 6, and 6 is this window that opens that will shut again. So it's like you've hacked the system. You're on the inside. You've got the inside scoop here. So look at what officialdom, what legalese, what contract stuff, what negotiation is in your life right now, and how you can make that work in your favor. It really supports that. Also, I'm being told that anyone who is like an inventor or a scientist or an educator, you get amazing ideas on how to structure what you're doing in such a way that you get to a very happy product end result, whether that's a good lesson that you've planned or whether it is the invention for the new light bulb that you've now perfected, whatever. You're able to work methodically in a structured way that other people can look at and then say, oh, this is why she did A, B, and C. Okay, we follow. So it's good for teaching. It's all of those things. It's good for spelling it out. I'm also getting animal activism, social activism, protesting. You know, if that doesn't interest you very much, usually, then you'll find that you become interested in one of these areas, activism or invention or education or something like that. And if you don't find that at all, then use this very simply and read a book that you enjoy, or learn or watch something that is fun. Although, you know, I wouldn't say that I'm a giant intellect who just watches like scientific programs on TV. But I really have to, like, I watched something the other day and I could feel my brain cells dying. I was just like, Greg, you need to read something that has a little bit of substance, okay? Your brain is like bleeding out your ears watching this program. So something that has a little bit of a standard, you know, something that's a bit challenging intellectually, something you can get your teeth into. Maybe like even if it's solving a crossword puzzle, that might be fun. It's better than just becoming a zombie. And this is not the day to like blank out and to just like stare at the wall. It isn't. Because your ideas will create something great that will benefit other people. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, so then we have this new moon forming several relationships with other things in the chart. First of all, it trines Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. It also squares Uranus and Taurus. And that's all it does. Wow. So it only forms 2 relationships. And usually, like, they all kind of are muddled together and they interact a lot with one another. I say this in the weekly horoscopes as well. Like some days you've got a tiny little Cancer moon, super sensitive and like me, hitting everything, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and it's like, it's too much. But this is the opposite. It's the new moon has all the space and the freedom in the world. The only things that influence it are Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is the ego. In the chart. So if I look at your birth chart and I see Black Moon Lilith, that's the area where your ego tries to knock you and fill you with doubt so that you don't do what you're supposed to, so that you can't fulfill your mission. It works against you. I read the comparison. Where did I read this? I read a comparison between the ego and Adam and Eve. Like, first of all innocence and la-di-da, and then things get really tough. And kind of in our lives, childhood, and then the ego comes in, and that's when it gets hard. It's when we start to position ourselves against ourselves. And that the ego is doing that today. So what that says, you always have to read between the lines here with the ego. It means that you're getting very close. You're getting very much warmer to your ultimate goal, to having a breakthrough, to living your purpose, to teaching and educating and making a valuable contribution. So of course the ego is going to say, hang on a minute, no, we don't want you to do that, because it doesn't want you to succeed, right? So Black Moon Lilith is at 21 degrees as well. So the new moon is at 12 degrees, 1 and 2 is 3, and 2 and 1 is 3. So they're kind of like on opposite ends of the chessboard here against each other. It's about communication, but Black Moon Lilith is also in the communication sign Gemini. Mercury, the communication planet, rules Gemini, outward, and Virgo, inward. So the fact that that Black Moon Lilith is at 3 degrees in Gemini, your ego is saying, don't speak, no, be quiet, don't innovate, don't invent anything, don't teach anything, go sit in your room, turn the lights off and cry. Or don't necessarily cry, but don't say anything. Just be quiet. So if we're looking at that, it means that the things that you're saying and the things that you come up with on this day are fabulously important because they're part of your destiny, part of your mission, your path through life. And that's why the ego is busting itself by stepping in so severely and saying, zip it, because it doesn't want you to thrive, like I said. So basically, express, if you're a scientist, great. But if you're an artist, then express your art. If you're a meteorologist, write your report early. If you're a tree surgeon, then do your research and contemplate the nature of tree surgery in future on this day. Seriously. Deliberately put your brain to work. And make sure that you have something to show for it at the end of the day. Or by the end of the 2nd of February. So I'm giving you homework, basically. Okay, we've got the square between the new moon and Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is the eccentric, it's the miraculous, it's the unexpected. In Taurus, it creates issues in a practical sense. Like the last time we had Uranus in Taurus was in the Depression in the States. And obviously we've had a bit of a colorful time the last few years. So Uranus does create uncertainty in the practical world. It's at 10 degrees though. 10 is the same as a new moon. 10 is 1 in numerology. It's the boss. It's numero uno. It's the person in charge, the driver. And the new moon, like I said, is the same pioneering energy. And Uranus rules Aquarius. So Uranus says, think outside the box, have these amazing ideas. Sometimes you need to lose it a bit to find these amazing insights that no one else can find. It's in Taurus though, and it squares the new moon in Aquarius. So your practical circumstances may serve to distract you. So I think it's kind of like the ego hiding behind Uranus a little bit because it's saying, oh no, you can't write the new chapter of the book because you have to do the dishes. Or you can't do that because the kids have that play date today and you have to taxi and then you have to drive them all home and then you have to do this and that. So the other way, your ego, even though usually the ego appears as Black Moon Lilith and Chiron, I don't think this is strictly the astrology because Uranus is chaos and change, but what I'm saying, it's deliberately sabotaging you, and that's more my intuition. So please play that by ear and see if it resonates for you. If it doesn't, then Uranus could create upheaval in a practical sense, which may draw your attention and distract you. But what I'm saying is it's more profound than that, and it has more purpose behind it, because your ego is saying, let's deliberately create as many challenges during this day for person A, B, and C, because we don't want them to have these amazing breakthroughs that are going to help everybody else. So if you find yourself firefighting, you know you've galloped off the beaten track. And you don't have to spend the whole day alone, but give yourself a moment to think and to see, okay, what could I do about this? I'm just thinking myself, it's interesting, because I tend to worry about stuff and play it in my head. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago, but I had this moment where I just stepped back from that and I was just like, God, the stuff you're worrying about is so stupid. Like, can't you elevate this a little bit? Yeah, why did yikes, why did I say that? Yeah, so it's not just that, but yeah, exactly. So it's not just the quality of what you're thinking about on a day-to-day basis, but if you actually ask yourself, how often do I sit down and contemplate my relationship or the place I live or my job? Like, how often do you genuinely sit down and say, okay, am I happy in this or not? Okay, I'm not happy. How could I change it? Okay, I've got 3 options, and which one seems most practical and doable? Okay, I'm going to... we don't do that. We tend, or I'm speaking for myself here, I have noticed that I tend to go on this loop of pointless worrying, and I think that's the way my ego distracts me from actually having good ideas or real insights, because I'm just using up all my time and energy contemplating. And I mean, okay, it's not all, I'm being a bit extreme here, but I hope I'm making a point, which is that this new moon in Aquarius, it allows us to get our teeth into something worth doing. You know, it's not watching some reality show and zoning out. It's actually, if I engage with this, I'm going to find some fabulous insights. I'm going to be able to do something with this valuable, and that's going to serve everybody else and then me in return. So please, you know, put on your spectacles or get out your pen and paper and use the energy as it's meant to be used. Because then Uranus and Taurus is unexpected chaos and upheaval. So we can have like an invention that changes lives, or we can have one person that politically steps up and says, we're doing this differently, and it changes the world for everybody. It's major change in a practical sense as a result of someone taking charge and saying, this is my idea, I'm expressing it. So it's basically, this is the new moon of one person can change the world if they stick to their guns and ideas and they do something with them. Not bad. Okay, so the moon only forms relationships with those two things. So it's very three things with Saturn conjuncting it. Yeah. But the others are kind of doing their own things. We've got Pluto, Mercury, Venus, and Mars all sitting in Capricorn, giving you the practical know-how to actually do things in a practical way. Jupiter in Pisces broadens your imagination in a limitless way so that you can pick up ideas that exist in 10 different galaxies and light years away that no one else has found. Neptune and Chiron in Pisces and Aries. Okay, imagination, self-interest. And South and North nodes in Scorpio and Taurus. I'm trying to take something that I've got control of emotionally, and I'm trying to create it or recreate it and take control in a physical way by making it real, by giving it form and structure on planet Earth. So amazing. So I think we'll hear something, I really do. With this much kind of breakthrough energy, something will break through, and the rest of us will then have to respond to that. Okay, so that's what I get for you during this new moon. I hope you have an amazing time, brainstorm and amazing new ideas that serve you in your future. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, just scroll down a little bit until you get to a button that says book your reading. Click on that to order your reading with me. The way I've drawn up this chart here, I draw up your birth chart by taking your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. Once I've got that, I can read your chart the way I read this, and it shows me your life purpose, your default setting, what you're striving towards, family, communication, money, personal development, spiritual development, friends, hopes and dreams, career, anything at all that you may want to ask. I can really give you an answer based on your birth chart. So if you're interested in that, please do get in touch with me for a personal reading. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing time here during this new moon. Check out some of my other videos, the weekly horoscope, the daily tarot readings, the personal vlogs, all of that stuff. Have an amazing time, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.